New game, new theories. Whoa, let's try it again. So, in the secret ending of Secret of the Mimic, that's secret twice in one sentence. That's kind of strange. This also explains how the mimic. There we go, mimic. And that's just a theory. A game theory! Wait, I don't say that anymore. Dang it. But anyways, back to Midnight Motorist. I was watching the John theory and I started thinking about the characters in the minigame. Crying Child, Michael, William. No Elizabeth. And again in FNAF 4. No Elizabeth. We know that Freddy's closes in 1985, which is why I said sister location takes place in 86 probably, but I think I was wrong about when Circus Babies opened. Something that I think a lot of people forget is that Freddy's is a franchise, meaning that multiple locations are open at once. Freddy's Original and Fredbear's are probably open at the same time, and Circus Babies might have been too. Meaning that when Elizabeth dies, it was before the bite, before Charlotte's death, before all of that. Which means that maybe what Crying Child saw wasn't Charlie's death, but Elizabeth's. But that's not what I'm really trying to solve here. That's just a bonus if I'm correct. What I'm here to solve is the order of the murders, which shouldn't be a debate anymore. Help Wanted 2 literally spelled it out for us. Chico was first. Charlotte being last honestly makes a little sense because in the FNAF 2 Give Gifts minigame, all of the animatronics are already filled with dead kids before Charlie arrives. She does it after the fact, almost like she was late to it happening. Now, this is where the theory goes off the rails. What if Edwin Murray and Henry Emily actually are the same person, and he has two kids, a son, Sammy, and a daughter, Charlotte, and that son dies, and so Henry/Edwin makes the mimic to keep Charlie company, or we'll just say Jackie, not the mimic. Now, after Sammy's death, let's say Henry needed some time to himself, so he went missing, like they say in FNAF 2. Enter the new FNAF game, where William breaks into the warehouse to steal Jackie, and later, after he successfully catches her, he turns Jackie into the security puppet. The animatronic is already tied to a box with long limbs, very similar to the puppet. And maybe, just maybe, that mimic had the agony in it or whatever made it human-like, which is why it was fused with Charlie so easily in the first place. As for evidence, the only evidence I have is that Henry's name hasn't been said once in any of the games as far as I know. Henry Emily is strictly from the book series. So who's to say his name in the games isn't Edwin Murray? Also, I think that Jackie is what made William start experimenting with Remnant in the first place. He saw how alive Jackie seemed in Secret of the Mimic and wanted to replicate it, which would explain why Henry/Edwin says that he helped create the monster. He also always talks about how it started with him, so maybe it was his creation of the Mimic that led William to then start killing and make the Funtime animatronics, which once again were created before 1983, as very possibly Mangle might be a replication of Funtime Foxy, and Mangle existed in FNAF 4, which took place in 1983. I think William was killing much earlier than 1985, which is when the MCI happens, though. Anyways, let's actually get into this. So I assume the class is familiar with the hit TV show, The Immortal and the Restless, right? If you're not, here's the recap. Purple Undead Vampire Man insists that a kid that looks just like him is not his, while his mistress keeps insisting that the baby is his. So Purple Undead Man, probably William. And the woman, well, I thought it was Mrs. Afton. It has come to light that it could very well be Michael, because he said that character resonated with him the most. So now that that's out of the way, it's time to talk about some other crappy theories I've had over the past 2 years that paved the way for the one you're watching now. So in the graphic novels of the books, Henry and William look very similar, which made me think they could be related or something. Also in the books, Charlie had a brother named Sammy who may or may not be real, I don't know, and it's never mentioned in the games, whatever. Now I assume that maybe Sammy was actually Michael, but him being the Crying Child makes more sense. Anyways, in the character encyclopedia, they make it a point to say that Henry's last name is Emily in the books, as in not in the games. So I thought maybe they were emphasizing that to say that maybe Henry's last name could be Afton, but I digress. So anyways, when Charlotte dies, Henry goes kind of insane and therefore becomes an unfit parent for Sammy, who, depending on William and Henry's relationship, goes to live with William while Henry recovers. I assume that Sammy was Michael, and that's why he hated the Crying Child, because it wasn't his actual brother, and why William hated him because he wasn't his actual son. But that wouldn't really make sense narratively. Plus, Michael is British and has a strong resemblance to William according to the games, so yeah, Michael is probably William's son. So basically, The crying child being adopted leads to the same scenarios. Michael hates him because he's not his real brother, and William torments him because he's not his actual son. But now here's the thing that kind of dismantled the whole theory. In The Immortal and the Restless, the child that William is denying is obviously his. The child is a vampire just like Vlad. So if he's denying the baby being his, but it very obviously is, then who is it about? And why would he be denying this child despite it obviously being his? Well, at first, I just chalked it up to Henry and William looking identical, so Henry's kid could very well look like William. But that's a further stretch than even I can get behind, so I scrapped that idea. So what else could it be? Enter part 2 of this theory, and the second thing I've been harping on for the last 2 years. Crying child might look like William, but he isn't actually his son. He's a copy of his son. He's a robot. I know, the ridiculous crackpot theory is back. But I mean, why else would William be experimenting on Crying Child if it wasn't because he was a robot? Plus, it would explain the no blood during the Bite of 83 thing. Now, the real video begins. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Here we go again. The real finale of this story. Sister location. The main question Sister Location raises is why William had the Sister Location bunker in FNAF 4 if he hasn't started murdering yet. And that's because he hadn't started murdering yet. It really just started as him keeping tabs on Crying Child. After Crying Child dies before FNAF 4, William gives him new life as a robot. The bunker was previously made as a workshop for William just to mess around with different projects and so he could work on actual Freddy's stuff. It was only after the Crying Child died that it started shifting into something sinister. A big question that the non-canon but also kinda canon ending of Sister Location raises is why William felt the need to always be watching the Crying Child. Well, one good reason I can think of is if he's watching one of his prototypes to make sure they don't malfunction in public. If you haven't picked up on what I'm saying yet, I'm claiming that William was watching the Crying Child because he was a robot and William was making sure that the Crying Child didn't malfunction or blow his cover while in public. Now that the context is out of the way, I can explain what I was saying in the first half of this video. In order for Crying Child to be reborn as a robot, he has to die. So how does that happen? It's all tied back to the FNAF 4 girl. She claims that they come to life at night, kill you, and then hide your body. Obviously, they is referring to the animatronics. But how? None of the animatronics should have these qualities yet. It's 1983. Or do they? And so William kills Fiona in the Fall Fest fire to make sure Edwin is underneath Fazbear's thumb. Which, now that I think about it, is just crazy. Like, why wouldn't you do anything else? Like, sue him or something. Why kill his wife? I don't know why that's the first thing that he thought of doing. I don't know. Let me tell you a story. It is about a mother and a little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because he could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped growling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day, when the mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door. This is the story of Ruin. Gregory is the mother, Cassie the little boy, the forest, the pizzaplex, the basement under FNAF 6, and the monster, the mimic. Let me tell you another story. This is about a child named Gregory, a child who got locked in the pizzaplex overnight. Gregory breached the security, going further and further into the depths. Why am I making an ASMR video? Why am I talking like this? What the heck happened? Why am I so whispery all of a sudden? I don't know what happened. This is weird. Hello? I don't know what. I think I'm making an ASMR video now. Yeah. And that's why MatPat is a dumb idiot who's dumb and doesn't know Five Nights at Freddy's because every theory he's had since Security Breach has just been stupid and dumb and not right. And yeah. He's yeah. In the meantime, remember, that's just a theory. Wait, no, I can't say that anymore. Dang it. I gotta come up with something else now.